No, you're good. You're good. An apple a day
so, yeah.
makes it all good.
Yeah. What's up? How are you? Because there's so many people waiting online, and I know what's going on here. Oh, look at this. This is happening. Hey. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
There it is.
I was saying I feel awful because there was people online, and I know Charlie is staying there. Jax, whatever. He's staying there, and yeah. And then I know. Well, we're figuring it out, guys. That's the point. But I'm here, so hi everybody. And when they said, "Can you take pictures?" Are there people who say you can't take pictures?
Yeah, there are.
Why? They're on TV anyway, or movies.
Listen, I'll tell you. Okay.
Do they look different?
One thing that I've actually seen is sometimes in these panels, people like to get a little bit more with the candor, and they say things that maybe they shouldn't say, and if it gets recorded, it gets out.
Meaning like spoiler things?
Maybe that, or that they don't like people, and you may start talking to them. They spilling tea, man. They just, with the tea, they just spill it like that, and they don't want it to get
ludicrous,
out.
guys. Let me give you a heads up, just so you know. Most actors and actresses are not great people. I'm just telling you.
Present company.
Just giving you a heads up. So I just spilled a little tea, okay? Except for me, everybody that I've worked with.
He was absolutely phenomenal.
Everybody I've worked with, and no, that's not true. I've worked with some awful people, but I've worked with some really good people too.
So let's get this started right quick, fast. Your role on Sons, phenomenal. I mean, I believe we can all agree. Juice brought something so unique to the mix, to the crowd, to the brotherhood.
I don't hear a lie here. I'm not hearing one lie. I agree with everything you're saying.
You know I'm keeping it real.
Keep it real. I don't hear any lies.
And I believe that, everything is created in that sense that it's fully well fleshed out, but what did you bring specifically to Juice that might not have necessarily been on the page?
So here's the thing. This is very true, and I know a lot of people, again, all these idiot other actors we were talking about. I love the show. Like, I'm a big fan of Sons. Like, I'm probably just as big of a fan as every one of you guys. I just think the show is fantastic, and it was one of the first times in my life that I could legitimately remove myself from something and watch it like Juice was almost like a separate character, because he was so different from me that I was able to not judge him, to not judge my performance or judge anything I was doing, but to watch it as a story. And I think that was a testament to how the show really takes you in, right? That show just kind of, you get in that world and you're in it. You feel like you're part of it. Juice was amazing because I just read it, actually I think something just came out today about his character arc, and they were saying it was one of the best ever on television, because you have to understand, if you really think about where, and it's not me, it's kind of what Kurt did with him. I mean, these first couple of seasons, he's kind of, feeding dog to the crank, he's in the diaper, he's going back and forth with Tig, and you're kind of like, oh, is he the comedy relief? Like, is he that guy? And you don't really know, and originally he was written as this computer nerd who was always on Joel Kohler, and then season 4 comes and you find out about his past, and it makes it so much more tragic, his downfall, because you were kind of like, wait, he's not that guy. He's not a bad guy. And then what people don't realize about Juice, which is really interesting, is I think and I don't know if this is true, if you don't count the multiple drive-bys that we used to do on people, where we kill like 50 people at a time and nobody was getting arrested.
Wait, but they earned it though.
Yeah, okay? Ridiculous. I mean, where's the security cameras? But Juice, like, everybody always feels really bad for him, but he also killed a ton of people.
He did.
You know what I mean? Like, and not like with pillows, with like up close and to the face, members of the club, but yet everybody always saw him as this like weaker figure. But I think it's because all of those things he was doing was out of survival.
Right.
He was never aggressively trying to kill someone or fight someone or beat someone up. It was always at the behest of someone else. So I think that, and I always say this, I think that him and Opie were moral compasses on the show, where like, oh man, they probably should have did something different. They probably, like, Juice was not supposed to be in a motorcycle club. He was supposed to be like working at a Comic-Con. You know what I mean? Like, like he was supposed to be like here, like taking photos. And next, like he was not supposed to be doing that. And same with Opie. He probably should have been working in like Blockbuster or something.
Wow.
They're like good guys.
Blockbuster, I don't know. They kind of went out of business.
No, there's still one left. There's still one.
Still?
Yeah, there's
I
one.
thought that one just
There's
went
one
out.
left in the country now.
Okay, all right.
He could have worked there.
It's very cold in that place, but all right,
It's a
I'll
great
give it to
place.
you. I'll give it to you.
It's fun.
Okay, so I don't want to take up too much more time, but as I understand it,
Yeah.
with Juice's character and ultimately the end that he got,
Yeah, it's awesome.
I believe we would call that a far more emotional sort of situation. But what did it feel like once you got that call that this is where it was going to go?
So, Kurt's amazing, as in, he tells you before the season kind of what's going down. But with season 7, he didn't tell us. You just knew you made it to the 7th season.
Right.
So that was the first time we didn't have our meetings. We always have our meetings in the off season where it's like, hey, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, and usually you're like, whoa, what? And then it's like, oh, okay. And then you're gonna steal coke, and then you're gonna try to kill yourself, and then what? And then you're on the run, and it's like, oh man, this doesn't sound good. And then it's like, and then no, you're fine. And then and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make it, but everybody hates me, and I'm on the run, and what? Okay. So I didn't know anything for season 7. I just knew I made it, which means I knew that I would probably be whatever. So the only thing, I was such a huge fan of his, because the more that you can feel it, the more that you were like, literally like, oh, don't do that. Like I wanted you to say that, which is why I say the best reaction I can get from fans is, God, I love you so much. I feel so bad for you, or I hate you. Why did you do that? I want either one. I never want to hear like, oh, you were really good on that show. that means I did nothing.
Right.
That means like I didn't
watch it.
Yeah, and that means like I wasn't intriguing enough as a character. So the only thing I knew, and this I don't know if a lot of people know this. So at the end of the show, you always have kind of hear rumors like, oh, this is how you're going to go out, and this is how you're going to go out. And one of the things I had first heard, and I think it was, and it's so many years later, so I don't know if it matters now, but one of the things was all the stuff was going on with Tully, and that it was going to be like, I was in the prison cell and like I lured him in. I think I was probably naked because I always was in the 7th season. I didn't have a wardrobe. I'd go in my trailer, there'd be no wardrobe. I was like, oh, okay, all right. I guess I'm going out naked again. And so I think I was naked in the cell, who knows, drugged up, doing something. And I lured him in, and then I choked him to death with my shirt.
Right.
And like I beat him or something. I was like covered in blood or whatever. And then in that state, I went out to the lunchroom, and then his people, whatever they call those people, whatever, the KKK, whatever I don't know what they were, they beat me to death. And that was the original way I was told it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's brutal. But the first thing I thought it was really brutal, but I was like, oh man, I don't have like this cool line like I got this. Like Opie had like the I got this, and I was like, oh. And then when I got it and I saw that just let me finish my pie line, I was like, oh, this is gonna kill people.
Yes.
I was like, if we play this right, this is gonna kill people.
Yes.
Just like when he was in that jail cell and he was talking to Unser and them, and he was telling how Gemma is, behind everything, and you guys are you're all dead. You're all done. Like, you don't even understand what's going on. So I was really fortunate in that last season, right leading up to that death, where I had that amazing scene with Unser in the jail cell. More importantly, I had that amazing scene with Jax, where it was like a 12, 13-minute scene of just him and I talking. And we did it in like 2 takes, and it was just him and I, like, telling him everything that happened with Tara, and then obviously the stuff at the end with Tully. So to me, I couldn't ask for a better. That's why when people are like, I feel so bad with the way you went out, I'm like, of course, that's good that you feel bad. That's what you're supposed to feel bad. Absolutely. That's the point. So I loved it.
It's brilliant. Let's open it up to the floor, if you don't mind.
The floor, yeah. Let's go.
I'm Haley, and you said that you actually enjoyed watching the show yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wanting to know what your favorite episode was.
So I think from a fan perspective, I always thought, I wasn't a huge fan of season 3, but I loved the finale. I thought it was one of the best finales I'd ever seen when Opie killed Stahl. and Unser was like, "You should smoke this," and he's like giving it to her, and Chibs with homeboy, the Irish guy, whatever his name is. I just loved that. I thought that was super cool. That season 3 finale. But as an episode, as a single episode, I think the stuff with Gemma and Tara and I was, and then me shooting Roosevelt coming in. I think when you go back, if you guys can remember before binge watching, you had to wait. So you had to wait. You had to wait 6 months to know what was going to happen. So when Abel got taken, you had to wait 6 months. And be like, you come up with all these theories, you get close with people because you talk to them and go, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think? So when Tara was killed, and then I align with Gemma, and Jax comes in and he's holding her, you go, what is going to happen here? So to me, that was my favorite episode just because of that moment, because it was so incredibly shocking. I thought it was a big chance, so yeah.
Come on up.
Hi, I'm Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
Hi. I was just wondering, when you were shooting something so emotional like Tara's death or any of the scenes where you were like crying and stuff, how as an actor did you get into that state of mind to make it so authentic and portray that?
Yeah, I think that to be an actor, a certain kind of actor, because there's a lot of awful actors, but to be an actor, so many that are terrible. But no, it's a joke. I think if you're in this business and you're making money, you're extremely fortunate. But I think a lot of actors are scared to become emotional, to be honest, because I always tell, I mentor a lot of young actors and I talk to a lot of young actors, and I think that you have to live a life. You have to be able to not just live a life, you have to be able to attach to things that are happening. You can't run away from moments. So if you lose someone, or if something happens that is tragic in your life, you have to embrace it and remember it. You almost have to lean into it, and you have to hold on to it, and then you have to be able to take it with you as an artist. Why it's really hard for certain actors, I know definitely me, is when I'm in something, when I'm in that moment, when I'm playing that character, I have a very hard time, I used to have a hard time turning it off. So with the emotional moments, I'm going back to things. I use music, I use from times, I can hold on to moments. Because here's for an example. In every project I do, I don't know what it is, it's kind of just a thing, I kill a lot of people. All the time.
You do it well, though.
Yeah, I'm killing people, left and right, always killing people. I've never killed anyone, newsflash, I've never killed anyone.
If the feds are listening.
Right, I've never killed anyone, guys. But I have to make people believe that I've killed that I can kill. Okay, I've had road rage. I've been angry. I've felt like, oh my God, if that person at that moment, why did they just do that? They almost killed me and my kids and I want to kill them. And then I have to let it go because I don't want to go to jail. But I have to remember that moment and take that with me. So I remember it and I hold on to it to make me be believable. So that's why when people ask me, what's the hardest scene you ever filmed in Sons? The hardest scene I've ever filmed in Sons was jumping off the tree to take my own life. Because yes, I've had depression, I've been anxious, I've done all the things that most of us in this room have probably had in our lives. And sure, we're human, we all think about things, but I've never attempted to take my life. I've had family members that have, I've had family members that have taken their lives, but I've never have. So I know what a huge, black, endless moment that is, like it's over. So for me to believe that, I have to kind of go into, that's why that scene was so hard and I was so worried about it coming out right, because your eyes never lie. So I need, when you guys are watching it, you're seeing me. So I have to have a moment in there where it would be believable to you. Now, my process is way different. Most actors don't give a rat's asshole about it. They're just like, yeah, whatever, man, if it worked, it worked. I don't care, film it. I have to believe it. If I don't, I can't do it. So yeah, when I'm emotional, I'm pulling from something that has put me in that space. So it means I have a messed up life, guys. That's what it means.
You're dealing really well.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It's therapy to me.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Now, I'm seeing parts of Sons of Anarchy, but
Yeah.
I'm bringing it to Luke Cage.
Please do.
You were phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay.
Let the church say amen. Okay.
It's pretty easy when you're acting across from Alfred Woodard. It's pretty easy.
Hey.
Yeah,
It's pretty easy.
superhero.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed, Netflix, the whole Disney explosion. But I really had hoped, that perhaps in a future series, a storyline would you be in jail with Kingpin. I'm just curious, did you have a storyline that not a kind of mini fan fiction type, that you would have liked to have portrayed?
Well, I knew what was going to happen in season 3. Yeah, I had read it. I was going to die at the end of it.
No,
Shades.
and it's good that it did.
Yeah. No, but it was cool.
Okay.
Because you gotta realize, Shades was kind of starting to question his own thing.
Right.
But Shades is like Littlefinger. He always had a reasoning behind what was going on. And Luke was kind of turning angrier and bitter. And if you follow the comic, there was a thing where my son comes back as Power Man. It was this thing from the comic a long time ago, and there was going to be a thing with my son coming back, and it was, and ultimately me not wanting him to be like me, and all my manipulative ways kind of not working out, and then ultimately he kills me. So it was super powerful. It was super great, and the reason I could say it is because those shows are not coming back, because it is a big thing with, the whole. Yeah, it's just not. It just can't. It's just the way TV works. It's, you move on, and it is. And listen, I absolutely loved that character because he was so polar opposite of Juice, and Juice was dodging bullets emotionally, and Shades was in control of everything, even when he wasn't.
Except for that scene when he had to confess to killing his best friend. That was
Comanche, yeah, and what an honor, because that was the first time in Marvel history that kind of was ever addressed.
Yeah,
and I think that, all praises due to Thomas Jones and the way Comanche played that stuff. But I just think that, that show, we did things, and I don't say it because I was on it. I've never experienced a show like that. We were a family, but also the music, the people who were on it, the stuff we were dealing with was like nobody was doing that. Nobody. So it's sad that everything got caught up in that whole thing, because I think it would have been some real cool stuff we had going down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do one more question.
Well. Oh, okay, good. Hey.
My name's Alicia.
Hey, how are you? I like your flower.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys,
You were dancing before when you came into the
I'm
photo.
always
I know, I love
Nothing
it.
wrong with that.
Me too.
I have to make a mirror impression where I go.
You did.
So, but you had just mentioned that you're on a set that working with everybody, it becomes a family.
Yeah.
So, what is the most memorable moment that you could think of, whether it's on the set of Sons of Anarchy or on Cage?
For me, I always gravitate towards people who were there in the game longer than I was, like people who have been through it, because the game has changed so much. So for me, sitting down and talking to, Alfred Woodard or Perlman, or even Bill Lucking, who played Piney, or Jimmy Smits, who's like literally a god in this business, like people who have just been through it. That was the surprise, but he bucked the whole surprise. We were setting up for a surprise. Sorry, I'm late.
What had happened?
Well, that was the surprise. So, see, now they know.
As you were saying, Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith, Charlie Hunnam. No. Of course, Charlie. But just deep talks with people who are older, who have been in the game for a long time. That's kind of like that's the best thing you can do, because as much as it changes, it stays the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Charlie Hunnam has joined us on stage. Good afternoon, good sir. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
All right.
I'm all right.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that.
I was a little nervous. I didn't sleep very well last night because
Oh.
Ryan and I were teaching a very large group of people yoga this morning. It's
Yes,
the first
yes.
time.
How many people went to yoga here? All right. Well, I was there.
Yeah.
On FaceTime. I was there.
In spirit.
In spirit and in
From his
FaceTime.
bed.
From my bed. And FaceTime. I was there in
I
FaceTime.
love it. I love it. If you guys don't mind, we'll keep it going from the crowd.
Please do.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Okay, so I did spend a good majority of time yelling at Juice while watching Sun. The time you took the Coke, I think it all just kind of spiraled out. So I did want to know, Theo, if you could tell me the best moment you had playing Juice.
I just said it.
Greatest moment.
Yeah, I just said it. And even though he's now here, I say that scene with him and I in the jail cell is, to me, I think one of the best scenes I've ever done as an actor.
Mine too.
Yeah, ever.
Mine too. I mean, I don't think I know for certain.
It's the best scene I've ever done as an artist. And what's crazy about it, and you know this, we did like 2 takes, 2 low, like,
We did 2 takes, and we only did 2 takes because there was a technical issue. It was like one of those scenes where you read the script, and you know, Kurt would really push us to the absolute limit of our ability as actors, you know, because he was swinging for the fences with that drama. And we, you know, script came in, and you know, it's 2 people sitting opposite each other, and one tells the other one that his mom beat his wife to death. You know, that's like a intimidating thing to know how to play and to do justice. And we were so deep into the lives of these characters that you don't want to like let any moment like that, you know, slip. You have to like bring everything to it. But I was really nervous because you never quite know. You wake up, you got a headache, you don't feel good, you just, you know, and it doesn't matter. You got to go show up and try to like make that live. And so I had said, you know, to Theo, who's always just like all about the work and willing to do whatever it takes to get the best out of, you know, himself and the person he's acting with. He's a beautiful man to act with. But I said, I'm terrified about, like, not terrified, but I need to not rehearse this scene. I just need to like do the scene and see what happens. And Theo's like, bro, whatever you want, I got you. So we did 1 take, and I felt it. Like, I felt it from him. We were just like, though there was no actors, there was no set, there was like Juice
That's
and
it.
Jax sitting there opposite each other having this conversation and living this moment. And it just happened for both of us. And we're shooting, often you'll shoot one person's coverage and another person's coverage, but we shot
cameras,
we
yeah.
shot 2 cameras so that we could just be in the moment and they could cross cut and we wouldn't have to break it up. And after 1 take, we said, I think we got it. And the director keeps storming over and he says, I don't think, I know we got it. That was like the greatest shit I ever saw. And then right 2 steps behind him was the director of photography, and he's like, I'm not so sure we did get it. And on my side of the coverage said one of the cameras didn't roll. So you didn't record any of that. And I felt this wave of nausea and panic go through me because I just thought I can't do as well as I just did again. And Theo was like, bro, let's just go. Like, let's just go right now.
Don't think about it.
And we did it again, and I think it was actually just as good. And then we didn't do it after that. So just
Yeah.
2 takes for collectively the best things that we've ever done.
no, he's
Unimaginable.
and I say it all the time, and this is the first time we've ever talked about it in the same room with each other. There's not a, like, even when I'm on other sets and people bring it up, I'm like, no, you don't understand, like, that doesn't get to happen. There's so many things that happen behind the scenes of a film or a TV show that throw off your concentration. And Charlie, like me, who I think why I honor him so much as an artist and why I look up to him so much as an artist is because we like hide. We're like away, we're in closets, we have headphones on, we're like, we can't be near all the madness. It's not that it's that maybe I'm not as good as some people that can just be in the mix and talk and then they call action and they're in it. I need a process to be whatever. And when we both collided in that moment, it was like a 12, 13 minute scene of just 2 people talking. That just doesn't happen. And talking about the weight of 7 seasons of something that was being built up. So just an amazing. Amazing.
Love you.
Oh,
Amazing. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Time is getting tight, so how far back are we going? Can you raise your hand if you're the last in line? We're gonna need you to be the last in line, okay?
I'll answer shorter answers. How are you?
So as actors, do you feel like even when you're done with something, that you take part of your character and with you? I don't know, like it changes you as a person.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes when I'm asked this, the first thing I ever think of is Ryan Hurst, who played Opie in the show. As it took us all by surprise, he was such a beloved character and such a heavyweight presence on our show. We were all kind of blindsided when Kurt made the decision that he was gonna kill that character. And he went, it was difficult because we continued the experience. We've been this brotherhood and like living this like deep communal lifestyle, making the show together, and then he wasn't on the show anymore. And we continued showing up and hanging out every day and having a great time, and he was at home unemployed. And so he went and he wrote this amazing sort of letter to himself called The Last Rites of Opie Winston. And he just talked a lot about how you bring this character to life and love him and nurture him and do everything you can to like figure out all the facets of him. And then I never forget this line he wrote in that essay. He said that he went to a bookstore to look at books on acting, and he said there was 1,000 books dedicated to how to create a character, and not a line in any one of those books is how to kill the son of a bitch when you're finished.
So true.
So there's a part of you that sort of carries around this graveyard of characters that have lived in you, But for me, I know I promised I was going to give a short answer. I guess it's a short answer. But for me, that was, I think, why Kurt decided that my character at least had to go out the way he did, because Kurt has, as much as I had, lived that life of, like Jax had immersed himself into that journey, and I don't think either of us could have rested thinking that he was alive somewhere out there. We had to kill him to put the experience to bed for us, to lay it to rest. So anyway, thank you. That's a good question.
Hello, gentlemen. My name's Kate. I think one of the reasons that the show is such an amazing thing and is so prolific with your fandom is that it is in some ways a modern adaptation of Hamlet. And I wondered whether or not any of you worked with some source material with Shakespeare at all in sort of developing your own characters throughout the process.
I didn't.
I noticed that's why he was pointing to me on that. No, I did not either. I tried to tie in who I was. That was always kind of my thing of like where, but I think that it was a framework, a foundation for it. And I think that, there's pretty obvious who certain people are, right? And then there's other ones, kind of, especially in the club and in the outer family that you're like, so there's nothing to really attach to. So Kurt was my Hamlet, my Shakespeare, he was like.
Yeah. Kurt, at college had studied the Shakespearean text, I think for a couple of years. So he really was the expert in the sort of Shakespearean narrative. The writing was just so incredible. Every episode we just were so excited to read those episodes and see what he was going to do next. That we just knew that was handled for us. We didn't have to think about that too much.
We did it wonderfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Besides the characters that you play, who did you decide your favorite character was in Sons of Anarchy?
No pressure.
Right.
No pressure. I would say Tig, so say who you want. No. No, I don't know who I'd say.
Apparently they
That's a
agree.
really tough one. You know, honestly, I think Opie.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to.
Answer.
Yeah, answer exactly. She's the right answer. It's hard for me to separate, you know, myself from the experience of being Jax. And Jax just loved Opie so much that I just always, you know, whenever it was a scene, whenever we were doing anything, I was always just in my mind like, wherever that guy went or whatever he said, that's what I was going to be about too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My apologies, I gotta be the bad guy. This has gotta be the last one. Do we have, is there? Oh, there's only two.
All right, we'll be really quick. We'll answer both of these.
I think you know why I'm here. I asked you yesterday to comment on the artwork that I showed you online, my girlfriend's, the painting and the tattoo,
Yes.
and they would not let you comment on video for it.
Yes.
So these girls are back home, and they're very flattered that you saw their work. So could you tell us what you think?
Well, I thought it was absolutely beautiful, you know, and I hope they continue to share their work with the world because it's really exceptional.
My friend Gwen Cortez is the one who actually made the painting,
Right.
and it was an early birthday gift to me. And I
Happy
asked
birthday.
her for, thank you. I asked her for permission to have you autograph it. She said, I was hoping you'd do that.
Oh, amazing. Mission accomplished.
And the tattoo on my leg was done by a girl named Amber Allison. She actually did it a year ago, canceled appointments a month before to touch it up, just to make sure it's perfect for when we saw it.
That's awesome. Goodness.
Thank you.
Again, you're extraordinarily talented.
Thank you for
Amazing,
that.
amazing artwork.
Oh, thank you for yoga this morning.
Oh, good. Sat down.
And rounding us out, we have two more. You guys got this? Is it?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
It's nice to meet you, Charlie, by the way. I met you earlier with Theo. So I just have a question for you, Charlie. Do you ever disagree with Kurt with the way you saw Sons of Anarchy going? Because it did start out so, you know, with Jax so dead set on not becoming, Ron's character.
Yeah,
and
Clay.
then, thank you. And then all this, granted, once the love of your life gets brutally murdered, doing a 360.
Things change.
Yeah. Did you disagree with the way you saw it going, or did you just say, yes, I can see this is exactly what we're doing? Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, it does. No, it totally makes sense. Interesting question. Just trying to formulate an honest answer. I think that I can't really remember honestly. I think there might have been moments when I read scripts for the first time initially and not that I didn't disagree, but that I didn't maybe quite understand. You know, he's always writing, like, he's a true master of television, so he's always writing 3 or 4 episodes ahead and like leaving, peppering little clues of where he knows the character's gonna go. So sometimes I would read something and just not understand where it was gonna go and sort of would question it that way, but
Thank you, brother.
Of course, he just missed what you said you would be his character.
we were just saying lovely things about you. You heard. That's why Yeah. So no, I thought Kurt did a truly incredible job of weaving this story and there was a sense of inevitability of where you go. If you live that life, I don't think Jax was trying to live 1 foot in the light and 1 foot in the dark, and there's always going to be a moment where you go one way or the other, and it was inevitable that Jax would get pulled into the dark side. And I think that's why he had to surrender himself at the end, you know, because he didn't want to live that life. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Hurst has joined us on the stage. And just in time to round us out for our last question.
All right, good.
My name's also Kelly. This is not even a serious question, but I love your work here. And we need to take it together.
I'm growing this, my beard might have for a roll, so that's why it's a little bit out of control. It seems like you don't mind saying. Come on, someone ask Ryan something.
Yeah.
I'm just saying statements.
This lady here, will you stand up and shout a question to Ryan?
Yes, first of all, I have to say this was amazing. We love you guys, always do. We have not gotten over what you did to Opie on the show.
Well, get over it. Move on. Move on. It's over. Your whole life ahead of you.
Harry's dead.
It's like The Sopranos. It's over.
Play the Journey song.
Ryan Hurst, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.